Hey, deserving listeners, it's time to continue our journey with Stephanie and Erika on 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days. My name is Dr. Kirk Honda. I am a couples therapist, and I'm also a professor of couples therapy, among other things. Let's get to the show.
I'm scared because I don't like to move too quickly with intimacy. But at the same time, I want her to know how into her I am.
So I will say, I'm not quite sure what Stephanie is saying, but she seems to be equating all forms of affection with sexual, action, because there's a lot of forms of affection. There's holding hands, there's kissing, there's cuddling, there's caressing, there's sitting next to someone, there's spooning, and then you have all the bases of sex, if you will, first base, second base, and so on. So, I'm wondering what Stephanie is meaning by that. Now, maybe all affection is scary for her, which I want to, honor for Stephanie. She's completely, it's completely fine for people to say, you know what, there's something. Now, I wonder what's going on there. If Stephanie has any kind of insight into why. I think she said it's because she's been hurt in the past, which, I wonder what kind of hurt she's had in the past. So, but I wonder if she's throwing the baby out with the bathwater, and that, cuddling and affection and kissing can not lead to sex, but maybe she worries about that. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
It's my first ever morning waking up next to my girlfriend, Erika.
You're like such a nice thing to wake up to.
Our connection is unlike anything I've ever felt before. And when we finally kissed last night, it was really nice. She's a really good kisser.
Did you have fun last night?
Yeah.
I was so tired.
So I just want to revel in Erika's outfit. She has koala earrings, which koalas are near and dear to my heart. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with Australia. I don't know why. I've never actually been, but maybe one day. I mean, with the coronavirus, who knows if we'll ever be able to leave our houses. But I actually did when you're a kid in school, you do reports, right? It's like your big assignment that you work on for a couple of weeks. And one of the reports I did was on koalas. And so I know things about koalas because I did a report in the 4th grade or whatever. And then she has what looks to be like a fun safari outfit on. It's just like, how does Erika find these awesome, outfits and the whole shenanigan? My mom is actually kind of like this. My mom dresses kind of like Erika. If my mom were Erika's age today, I bet you anything she would dress just like Erika. My mom loves rainbows and bright colors and fun things, and so I don't know. That's just a thought that comes to my head.
Did you and Erika have sex last night?
I went to bed and I passed out.
Yeah, you did.
So I don't understand the implication that the show is trying to get at, that somehow it's bad that they didn't have sex. It's often played in that way on this show. It's like, okay, they've got to have sex, and then that validates their relationship somehow. They barely know each other. It's not uncommon for people to say, like, yeah, let's take things slow. I don't know if this is a sign of things to come, but I just want to put my foot down on that idea that it's okay for someone to say, I want to take it slow. It's totally fine. Now, it can be a deal breaker for someone in Erika's position, for sure, and depending on in what way it's a deal breaker. But I just want to say that it's okay if people take it slow if they want to. A lot of people have been sexually assaulted. A lot of people have been through difficult times, and to go fast would actually re-traumatize themselves, and they know that, and so they're just like, my body needs to, even though my mind, I might want to go fast, I know my body, we have to go slow.
Thank you for not being like weird about the fact that I'm still not really ready.
Of course. I feel like it would be gross if I was weird about that. Like,
For not being like a creepy dude.
can you imagine?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Erika says that she understands that I don't want to have sex right away. And I think that's really awesome because, women are more about making real connections and not just getting straight away into my pants.
Great. So they're communicating well, and that's fantastic. There's another thought that I wonder if people are questioning whether or not if Stephanie is actually bisexual. I wonder if people are wondering about that. And as viewers, they're like, is Stephanie really bisexual? And if they have sex, then we'll have confirmation. It's kind of a ridiculous notion to get into. So I wonder how audiences are reacting to that. But she just said something that I understand where it comes from, but it is mildly sexist. To say that women are about real connection, men are about sex, that's basically what she was saying. This is a common cultural stereotype that is propagated, and it's not helpful to men. There's a lot of men that actually believe this to be true because they've been indoctrinated into our culture. Take it from me, someone who reads a lot of research on this matter and have talked to lots of men and young men and teenage boys about sexuality. It's about connection for men too. Now, can it be not about connection? Can sexuality be not about connection for men? Sure. But it could also be not about connection for women. There's not a lot of difference there. Now, we might find some average, maybe 20% of men, it's not about a connection, and 15% of women, it's not about connection. And what about non-binary people, of course? But the point is that notion, I just want to clarify that that's not a helpful notion. There's nothing wrong with saying, for Stephanie to say, it's about connection to me. For me, it's about connection. It's not about necessarily having sex. I want to feel a connection, and the sex will come after that. And it's also totally okay for anyone else, regardless of gender, to say, you know what, I don't need a connection to have sex. That's okay as well. But to say that as a woman, it's about connection, meaning that for men, it's not about connection, is actually not supported by the evidence. I could go on and on about this. I'll give you one anecdote. So I was working with a client years ago, and a young man, and he was having trouble with performing. I don't know how YouTube actually flags certain videos for rated R, or even how they rate things, or even if they do rate things. So I'll speak in code in this reason. So that this young man was having trouble performing, if you know what I mean. And he was in a lot of distress about it, and so he asked me for help on that. And so we talked about it, and it was very clear to me very early that the reason why he was having trouble performing, and I actually don't really like that word for a lot of reasons because it's not a performance. The reason why he was having trouble was because he didn't feel comfortable. He didn't feel connected. He didn't feel like his partner was on his side. He didn't feel like he could trust her. He didn't feel like she was safe to have either situation happen. And when he didn't feel safe, when he didn't feel connected, when he didn't feel emotionally okay with this person, then things didn't work well sexually for him. And so that's just one story among thousands of stories that I could tell you that demonstrate that for men, it is often about safety. It's often about feeling connected. It's often about warmth. Now, like I said, a lot of men will be indoctrinated into a notion that it isn't about that, and to say it's about a connection and not about sexuality is saying that you're somehow weak or you're somehow girly or something like that. And of course, it doesn't make any sense that men and women would be all that different when it comes to that sort of thing. We all crave attachment security. We all crave safety. We all crave a companion. We all crave someone who really understands us. Why would it be any different regarding gender in that way? It isn't. Take it from me.
I feel like it would be gross if I was weird about that. Like,
For not being like a creepy dude.
can you imagine?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Erika says that she understands that I don't want to have sex right away. And I think that's really awesome because, women are more about making real connections and not just getting straight away into my pants.
Again, there's nothing wrong with saying I am about a connection and not going straight into my pants. And I found as a bisexual person that a lot of the women I date are about a connection and not about going to sex very quickly, because that actually might be her experience. But we have to ask ourselves why. Well, girls and boys are socialized differently often. They're socialized to value different things and to devalue other things. Young men and boys are socialized to devalue connection, to devalue relationships, to devalue vulnerability. And thus, they have very few options when it comes to being overt about their desire to connect with someone, usually just through sex. And so you'll see a lot of young men and men of all ages being very focused on sex. Well, why is that? Well, my hypothesis and other experts will say that it's because they have the same desire for connection that we will ascribe to women, but they aren't allowed to be vulnerable about that. They're only allowed to express sexual desire. They're not allowed to express vulnerability desire and connection desire and affection desire. And so all of their attachment needs come pouring out through their sexual desire, and they come across as very forceful. So, and also another factor is that a lot of men are evaluated on their sexual prowess. And if they don't bag the babe within the first couple of dates, then they're seen as weak. And so there's a lot of social pressure that they will either have actually from people, or they will internalize and enact on their relationships. And a lot of bad things happen because of this. I won't go into detail. Obviously, you could draw your own conclusions on that one. But anyway, so there's nothing wrong with Stephanie saying, I want connection, and I've found that difference between the men I've dated and the women I've dated. But let's be careful and not ascribe to the idea that men don't care about connection, because they absolutely do.
I don't have a normal amount of white blood cells, which protect you from infection. So for the past 2 years, I've been sick a lot. And if I caught a cold, it would mean going to the hospital. Yeah. I really didn't go out much. I'm just worried that it will be too much for you to deal with.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I don't know. I always feel like, why would somebody date me if they could just date a normal person and not deal with the stuff that I have to deal with?
It's nothing to do with like what I have to deal with. It's about how I feel, I care about you. So of course I'm gonna be there.
So this is great. Stephanie is expressing what would be a very understandable emotion. She's saying, I'm worried that you're going to reject me because of all the stuff that I have to deal with. And you heard her say that maybe you would want to date someone else, a normal person. So Stephanie has this schema, maybe, or view of herself that she's abnormal. There's something wrong with her, which could have been developed when she was young, because we heard in a previous episode that when she emigrated from the Czech Republic to the United States, she couldn't speak English, and she definitely felt abnormal, I'm guessing, as a young child, like she didn't belong. And this is yet another thing that makes her not belong, that would make her worried about being rejected. And I'm guessing that some people would be rejecting of her or uncomfortable around her sufficiently to, affect negatively a relationship because of her medical condition. And Erika is being really great. She's like, no, of course not. So this is a very positive interaction.
She's a lot more compassionate than I expected, but my disease makes love very complicated, and I don't ever want her to feel like it's a burden, so I'm worried it might scare her away.
I will say that it always surprises me how little they know each other before actually meeting each other in person, even though they claim that they had been dating and talking to each other all the time prior. It makes some sense given that you're not going to share everything when you're texting and this sort of thing. But they, in this show, often feel like sometimes they're even engaged before they meet each other in person. And when they actually meet, you realize they barely know each other. And so it's just another data point along those lines. The fact that Stephanie hadn't revealed to Erika the extent of her medical condition says the the depth of their relationship prior to meeting in person, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But they often talk about their relationship prior to meeting as if they're soulmates and they're made for each other, when you contrast that with how little they actually know about each other, it sort of puts all that into question.
So hopefully you understand why I'm taking all these precautions now.
Of course,
And you don't
yeah.
just think I'm a weirdo.
No,
Okay.
only a good weirdo.
Aw.
Steph's illness, it's a lot more serious than what she made it out to be before she came. And it sounds like it affects pretty much all of her life.
Okay, so that's interesting. Erika seems to be kind of intimating that Erika might have downplayed her illness before coming to Australia. And Erika seemed to have a little bit, I don't know if I'm just reading in, a little bit of disappointment there. So it's just another data point to how Stephanie deals with relationships, that she might hold back and not reveal everything for fear of being rejected.
I do want a serious relationship with Steph, but her illness worries me. And it's something that I have to consider as we move forward with our relationship. So, I don't know, we'll see.
All right, well, if you could subscribe and like this video, then that would be cool with me. And you can also become a patron on patreon.com. And that does it for that episode of Psychology in Seattle. Thanks for joining me out there. Please take care of yourself because you deserve it. I'm using my guns, so you got to do it.